Hi everyone, my name is Abby Cunningham and I am a psychology major here at the College of Wooster. My independent study is entitled The Influence of Gender Stereotypes on Perceptions of Gender Non-Binary Individuals. There are four main concepts that shape my independent study. First, my IS focuses heavily on non-binary identities. Gender non-binary individuals may identify and express themselves outside of the gender binary, meaning that they don't adhere to the identity of a man or a woman. Non-binary is a fluid term, meaning that every individual has their own way of expressing and understanding their identity. My second main concept is gender stereotypes. Gender roles for men and women have developed from physical and biological characteristics that differentiate men from women. Traditional gender roles dictate that men are expected to be strong, assertive, have a high social status, be very competent, and work in high-paying jobs, while women are expected to be warm, caring, stay home with their families, or work in lower-paying female-dominated jobs. The third concept is intergroup contact, which is the idea that in-groups, or the social group that one is a part of, and out-groups, or the social group that one is not a part of, have the ability to communicate and create connections with each other. These interactions can also potentially reduce prejudice between groups. The last concept in my IS is mental health and how mental illness can be just as detrimental to someone's health as a physical condition. I specifically looked at research about mental health stigma and how individuals with mental illness may face negative behaviors, attitudes, and emotional responses from people who may not understand what they are going through. A lot of past research has investigated how gender stereotypes influence perceptions of people's mental health. However, these studies focused on men and women and did not include identities outside of the gender binary. The current study aimed to investigate how attitudes towards stereotypical behaviors of men, women, and gender non-binary individuals shape perceptions of mental health. The current study also discussed how stereotypical perceptions of gender groups shape intergroup contact with those groups. Generally, the study aimed to gain a greater understanding of how people view gender non-binary individuals. I investigated three hypotheses in my research. First, I predicted that gender non-binary individuals will be viewed as more mentally unhealthy than men and women. I also hypothesized that participants will have the least amount of intergroup contact with gender non-binary individuals compared to men and women. Lastly, I hypothesized that participants will rate the levels of competence, warmth, and status of gender non-binary individuals lower than men and women's levels. For my method, the independent variables were gender identity of the condition and gender identity of the participant, and the dependent variables were perceptions of mental health, intergroup contact, and gender identity stereotypes. For my procedure, 127 participants from the College of Wooster participated in an online survey where they were asked to answer questions about one target gender group, either men, women, or gender non-binary individuals. They first answered 15 questions about perceived depression and anxiety of the target gender group. Then they answered 10 questions about intergroup contact that asked how much contact they generally have with the target gender group. Then they answered 11 questions about perceived competence, warmth, and status of the target gender group. The results of my analyses did not support my first and third hypotheses about perceived mental health and gender stereotypes. But my results did support hypothesis 2, displaying that men and women had the least intergroup contact with gender non-binary individuals. This suggests that participants may have had a lack of information about gender non-binary individuals and potential anxiety about interacting with an unfamiliar outgroup, causing them to avoid contact with gender non-binary individuals. Additionally, because the population of gender non-binary individuals is much smaller than the population of men and women, individuals may have less opportunities to interact with gender non-binary individuals. The current study and further research could provide more information about gender non-binary individuals and their characteristics. The current study stresses the need for more information and education about non-binary identities. If more research about non-binary individuals was readily available, Individuals who may have hostile views about the gender spectrum may be able to better empathize with the experience of people who do not identify with their assigned sex at birth. Additionally, our society has an abundance of mental health resources, but they may not be completely applicable to gender non-binary individuals and their experiences. Having available information about how gender stereotypes may affect gender non-binary individuals could also allow for the creation of more adequate mental health resources to be provided to them. If individuals are aware that gender non-binary individuals are desperately in need of more beneficial mental health resources, this could lead to the development of resources that are more equipped to provide gender non-binary individuals the help that they need. Lastly, I just want to say thank you to everyone who joined and for your interest in my IS. I really appreciate it.